the moon since before I was born, more than 45 years ago. Suddenly we're going back in less than a decade, maybe. Should I get excited, or is it too good to be true?
Well, sir, we'll see. Okay, everything's fine. Just keep in mind, in the 1960s, from 1962 to 1960, really I guess to 1972, the NASA budget at its peak was 4%. 4% of the federal budget. Today, the NASA budget is about 0.4% of the federal budget. And NASA has been asked to do all these crazy, wonderful new things. There's exploration of exoplanets, beyond our solar system, exploration of the planets in our solar system, maintaining the International Space Station, which is at least $3 billion a year, and so on. So this idea that we're going to declare going back to the moon in 4.5 years is cool, and it may lead to a huge investment. But everybody, I am open-minded, of course, and I'm the CEO of the Planetary Society. We advocate, I was talking to my good friend, Oklahoma native Jim Bridenstine, the current administrator of NASA, about this. Without an influx of huge cash, it's probably not possible. Now, Bridenstine talks all the time, Mr. Administrator, talks all the time about Lucy and the football. For those of you familiar with the Peanuts cartoon, Charlie Brown goes up to kick the football every year, and Lucy pulls it away every year. And that's sort of been the story of going back to the moon with people. But maybe this time, it'll be serious. Maybe there'll be real investment. It will lead to extraordinary things. But you could also say that if you, and by the way, they're asking for, this is a cool new phrase, they're asking for no year. Some extraordinary number, $40 billion, $25 billion in no year, meaning giving NASA this huge amount of money now and not asking it for it to be accounted every year, not meeting it out or doling or breaking it down year by year. That would be really something.
The last time that happened was Apollo, to get to the moon.
Yeah, but that was everybody. I'm of a certain age. I was 13 years old. I was on my knees watching black and white television. You're a grown-up, so this all the time. Black and white television, and it had a smell because it was vacuum tubes. It was hot. And so your skin cells, all the dust in the room, would get on the vacuum tubes and they'd smell. Electronics, it was cool. But the reason that happened was the Cold War, everybody. I mean, that's why. I mean, there's all this wonderful science has happened, especially the best idea, the best hypotheses about the origin of the moon. It was almost certainly an interplanetary impact. Except in space, there's no sound. Then we got the moon. And then at that time, there was, because of President Kennedy's assertion that we're going to go to the moon in a decade, and then he got killed, there was this momentum like we couldn't not go to the moon. And it became this informal international competition. Whoever put humans on the moon first won somehow. And I just remind people, the former Soviet Union brought back, the soft landed on the moon, they brought back rocks from the moon robotically before the US did. But somehow, if you didn't get people there, it didn't count. And so everybody, it's really an extraordinary time. I don't know anything about your politics, you can shoot the messenger, but Russia used to be the bad guys. This is really a wild time. This is really an extraordinary time. And so, without the threat of an enemy to compete with, it's just not clear that the momentum will build. However, if $25 billion shows up no year, as they call it, unconstrained, great things may happen. I am open-minded. Let's see, they're calling it the amended budget. There's never been one. We'll see what the amended budget does.
The supplemental, we're waiting and hoping. I'm going to use my prerogative to add another bit to this. We're talking about humans going back to the moon. A lot of people I run into say, Well, what happened to the American space program? It ended with the space shuttle.
Oh my goodness.
Hardly true. Not
Yeah,
at all.
hardly true. You guys, we're very close to having a spacecraft that will be able to look for living things on the ice of Mars. If we found living things, say in the next 3 or 5 years, it would just change the course of human history. And we're going to send a mission to Europa, which is twice as much ocean water as the Earth. That ocean discovered by a woman, by the way, Margie Kilson. And NASA does just extraordinary things that no one else, no other space agency in the world can do. And that's something we should be very proud of. On the other hand, you always want to be advancing. You always want to be doing new and cool things. And this idea that commercial space, this is to say companies like United Launch Alliance, SpaceX, the new Blue Origin built by Jeff Bezos, the bazillionaire of Amazon. These companies sell rockets to NASA. I mean, they're not just doing it. And NASA does stuff that there's no commercial, there's no business case. There's no business case for mapping Mars. You're not going to make money mapping Mars, I guess. But we do it because we make discoveries. And we will go on to more questions. This is all good. But it's important also to keep in mind that climate change here on Earth was discovered or greatly reinforced. The hypotheses were greatly reinforced in the last 4 decades by exploring Venus and Mars, and what Carl Sagan used to call comparative planetology, looking at the greenhouse effect on Venus and the very subtle, slight greenhouse effect on Mars, informed our understanding of the greenhouse effect here on this planet. And James Hansen, the guy who, for those of you who are unfamiliar with climate argument history, was testified before U.S. Congress in 1988 about climate change, and he studied Venus. He was an astronomer at first, studying Venus. So space exploration brings out the best of us. Countries all over the world have space agencies because it brings out the best in their citizens. Vietnam has a space agency, South Africa has a space agency, United Arab Emirates has a space agency because they know what it does for their society. It's a cool thing to be part of. Lead on, Matt.
And by the way, if you want to stay up on what's happening with the space program here and really around the world, there are few better places, in fact I know of no better places, than planetary.org, O-R-G, which happens to be our website.
This cool logo. So check out planetary.org, you guys. We connect you with space. Take it, Matt. Let's read some questions, Bill.